With the recent events of the My Hero Academia manga and the shocking turnabout for certain characters, oh my god, I wonder who. Shut up, Dave! I thought it was high time to give you a little breakdown of the history, origin, and life of everyone's favorite blood-obsessed queen, Himiko Toga. From her birth, her upbringing, her canon event, all the way to her joining the League of Villains, I'll cover it all. Because it's actually not that long or complicated. But before we begin, don't forget to try smash that subscribe button to keep up to date with all the Lunchtime Crew / My Hero content. So Himiko Toga was born the eldest daughter of the Toga family. Now I specifically use the words eldest daughter because that is how Curious refers to her in the series. Which, interestingly enough, heavily implies that Toga may actually have siblings. Potentially an older brother or a younger brother and or sister. However, as of this moment, there has been no clarification or further mention of these siblings, so they have absolutely no relevance to anything at all. Get out of here with your ambiguous existence nonsense. But anyways, Toga herself seemed to grow up a relatively normal girl, with the exception of her deep desire to consume the blood of those she loves. Now, this isn't any ordinary interest or hobby of Toga's, but an actual physical and emotional response she has to blood. Toga loves blood the same way a person can love their dog, pet, or someone they cherish. It's a subconscious response she physically has no control over. She can't choose to turn it on or off, she always feels it. This passion for blood is assumed to stem from the nature of her quirk copy, which allows Toga to copy the likeness of another person after consuming some of their blood. Now, as you would expect, this fascination with the consumption of another creature's blood isn't the prettiest sight or most normal thing to see, which unfortunately for Toga meant that her favorite thing to do was not only frowned upon in the My Hero world, but was seen as something truly horrible. Something only a monster would do. And Toga quickly became aware of this view on the fateful night, like a cat to its owner, she decided to bring the bloodied corpse of a bird to her parents in an attempt to show them how pretty the bloodied creature was. Mama and Papa Toga, in seeing their daughter smile in delight at the bloody dead animal in her hands, were disgusted and scarred by their daughter's actions, even going as far as berating and shouting at Toga as they assumed that Toga, who they knew loved blood, must have killed the bird herself to drink its blood. Which is a point that's actually left unclear, as we don't know if she did or didn't. Despite this, from this fatal moment onwards, Toga's life would change forever. As with the knowledge that their daughter is obsessed with blood, the belief that she would be willing to kill to get it, and the desire to fix their daughter and make her normal, Toga's parents decided to send her to quirk counseling, a place where Toga would learn to suppress her inner and natural emotions in order to become the ideal young girl society expects her to be. And surprisingly, Toga primarily did, with her hiding her true self and desires so well that by the time she was in middle school, she not only managed to make many friends, but was considered a cheerful and well-behaved girl by most. However, despite Toga's outward appearance changing to be more normal, inside Toga was a ticking time bomb, slowly breaking down in confusion as to why she has to pretend and hide how she really feels. You see, for Toga, drinking a person's blood is her way of showing how much she loves them, and from studying the world and how people act around her, she learned that showing someone you love them is a very normal and welcome thing to do. So Toga was confused as to why her way of showing love made her a monster, but everyone else could show love and it would be considered pretty or beautiful. It's also vitally important to note Toga's parents most certainly weren't the best at communicating or considering their daughter's feelings, as after Toga did lick a friend's wound, her parents would not only go on to roar at her, claiming she is rotten to the core, but they would also claim that she, the person they gave birth to, is not even human, a living monster. So like, are we placing them at the top 10 worst parents in the My Hero world, or like higher? But anyways, as you can imagine, after years of hiding her true feelings, getting verbally abused by her parents, and having to look on as everyone else around her lived, laughed, and loved, while she couldn't, built and built up inside of Toga like a balloon on the constant verge of popping. Until, as you would expect with any balloon filled with too much air, she popped. And unfortunately for Toga, she would pop in the most tragic of times. moments. You see, during her time in school, she developed a crush on her fellow classmate named Saito, who interestingly enough looks a lot like Midoriya. And just like any teenage girl, Toga had a deep desire to release her emotions about Saito and let him know how she felt about him. However, for Toga, merely telling him she liked him wasn't enough. To get this feeling of love out to him, she would have to drink his blood. Although from her previous experiences in life, she believed she couldn't just ask him for some blood because he and the rest of the world would just consider her an ugly freak. So she decided to repress these deep emotions. That is until the day Saito got in a fight and Toga saw her biggest crush covered in cuts, bruises, and the ichor of life she desires most in the world, blood. Seeing Saito like this was the breaking point for Toga. It proved too much for her heart to handle, and she just couldn't live any longer without releasing her true feelings to the world and expressing her love to the boy she loved, whether he wanted it or not. And so, on one fateful evening, Toga confronted Saito in the school halls with a box cutter in hand and stabbed the boy in the neck, and with tears in her eyes, she proceeded to drink his blood. And as she did so, her face lit up with a smile of pure ecstasy as she finally showed Saito that she truly loved him. Of course, following this incident and murder, Toga's parents would cut ties with her daughter entirely, publicly stating that they tried their best for her, but they always knew she was a demon. What assholes! And Toga herself would go into hiding and live the rest of her life as a fugitive wanted by the law, becoming a key suspect in multiple bloodletting murders. Although, fortunately for Toga, she wouldn't remain entirely alone in the world for long, as after the hero killer Stain's speech about changing the flawed hero society was broadcast to the world and ironically associated with the League of Villains, Toga would willingly join and become a key member of the organization, with one simple but massive goal in mind: to make a world where a person can truly express themselves in any way they like. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is my breakdown of the life and origin of the character known as Himiko Toga. If you like this video, don't forget to leave a like. For more content like this, subscribe to the Lunchtime Crew. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. It's lunchtime!